Hello, good afternoon. Are you all with us? Can we start? Yes. So, good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends. Welcome to the IPA ADRION event on the increasing skills and competencies in the Adriatic-Ionian region. We hope you are not too tired from the lesson from before. You're fine, yeah? So a very warm also welcome to the participants online. Thank you for being patient. We are starting a little bit late. My name is Matija Pavlovčić from the Slovenian Ministry of Cohesion and Regional Development, and I'm working on the innovation within green sustainable in the EUSAIR macro region. So I'll be your moderator today. And please prepare some questions because at the end you will have an opportunity to ask some questions. We are here to present you some very practical topic. During these 2 days we heard a lot about the skills and competencies that are needed in this region, and today we will try to be very practical and present you also some solutions. We are delighted to have today with us 4 panelists. 3 joining us in person and 1 online. So firstly, Ms. Adela Franja from IPA ADRION program. Hello. Then Professor Mišković from University of Zagreb, and Professor Ferrarini from University of Milan. And 4th speaker, are we online? We have her also online, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So and the 4th speaker, Ms. Umuhan Bardak from the ETF organization from Milan. But firstly, before going into the topic, let us have a look where we are. Yeah, as you know, I mean, according to one of the studies, in the year 2030, 85% of us will be doing the jobs that do not exist yet. So 85% of us. And this is perhaps a little bit bold statement, but it's very soon coming. Considering we are, as you already see, experiences the business transformation currently, and in the next 5 years, key business transformation factors will be the green agenda, so transition into the green economy, changed economic trends, hereby, for example, the changed value chains and changed environment for the businesses, and the technology adoption. So fastest job growth are expected also to be in these areas. I guess you know the Asian miracle of the countries of Hong Kong, Taiwan. They have experienced the double-digit growth due to a lot of also investments and policies in the skills development. So skills development is indeed directly correlated with the increased economic growth. Additionally, what we are facing in Adriatic-Ionian region, you heard also a lot about during these 2 days, is besides the brain drain in the countries such as Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, we are also facing the skills mismatch, means that the companies do not find sufficiently employees for the skills needed, let's say, in these higher technological development jobs. And currently the investments are mostly in the low-tech manufacturing sectors. So for sure, the green jobs will be one of the main agendas in the future. Let me be a little bit practical. What are the examples of green jobs? I know that you will think now about electric cars, might be a little bit, but let's focus on the hybrid cars. Let's say agriculture, ecological agriculture is one of the very important things also for our region. And for example, the energy production, let's say sustainable energy production. So that we are not too, I won't say too theoretically, but let me ask you, what am I holding here? So to wake you up a little bit. Yes, it's a jar. Is it a full jar or is it an empty jar? It's an empty, yes. So it's a jar of my father, ecological, retired now, producing ecological honey. It should be actually full at this time of year. So end of May should be full, yes. And I'm sure also in your countries, right? So now it's empty. So the challenges are real. So let us discuss today how we can fill these jars again, yeah, or at least as much as possible. So going to the topic of today, so green transition, as much as we talk about it, we see the policies, like for example, that the countries need to be able to achieve net zero greenhouse emissions until 2050, besides the practical also involvements as we saw. And these policies need to include investments in green technologies and, more importantly, job training programs. They need to shift, to create to green jobs very practically in order to satisfy the needs of the labor market. So why are we here today? Today we we would like to open a discussion with this panel, which kind of opportunities we can create and where they exist to increase skills in the green economy sector. Are there already some examples, and what in our region, which opportunities do we have in our region? We will also discuss possible scenarios, so please feel free to ask some questions, also at the end, also provocative. So I'm sure our panelists will like it. Positive and little provocative questions, right? So let us go now to the first panelist, Ms. Adela Frania, please, from the IPA ADRION program. Ms. Adela Frania is working at the IPA ADRION program since 2016, covering the sector of innovation, blue economy, and smart specialization strategies within the Joint Secretariat. Thanks to the 5th call for proposals of the ADRION program back in the year 2022, 5 projects were funded supporting the development of master programs in the topics of blue economy, social innovation, circular economy, and renewable energies. So, Ms. Frania, please. First question, what are the reasons behind the choice to support skill enhancement through international master's programs? What are the main tools offered by the program aiming to increase competencies in the green economy sector? Please.
Hi to everybody. Thank you, Mattia, for giving us the opportunity to show today in which way the program ADRION and afterwards the program IPA ADRION supports the skills enhancement in the Adriatic-Ionian area. As we had the chance today to listen in the introduction of Mattia, actually skills enhancement and rising of competencies is a major challenge of the area. ADRION program has supported this topic through the projects in a kind of cross-cutting issues, a sort transversally. And so a component of training and capacity building was already integrated in the projects that we have funded so far. But through the 5th call, we have the opportunity to concentrate specifically on this topic. So we designed a call, an experimental call, in close collaboration with the DG R&D, in order to focus on rising competencies and skills in the main areas of interest of the area and the EUSAIR strategy. Since the Adriatic-Ionian area, the IPA ADRION and ADRION program fits perfectly, not only geographically, but also from the topic point of view. We selected among the sectors 4 of them. So the 5th call will concentrate it on the blue economy, on social innovation, renewable energy, circular economy. The aim of this call is to rise competencies, but also to accompany the area towards making progress in the maritime, marine, environmental, and social ones, to enhance the cooperation between EU and non-EU countries. So something that is evident in all the analyses that we have done so far and that are done by other institutions, which shows that there is a East-West divide regarding the co-patenting and scientific publications between the two countries, to encourage the cooperation between the university, research institutions, and private companies in order to provide to the area education formats that answer to the needs of the market and that respond to the challenges of the area. Encourage the effective use of the EU funds devoted to innovation, especially for the IPA countries, that will have the chance and will have dedicated funds even in the context of Horizon. So in this way, together with the DG R&D, we have somehow undertaken measures that will allow that IPA countries create synergies among this program with the program devoted to the Western Balkans. Last but not the least is to bridge this programming period to the new programming period. So to move forward, to prepare the ground for the new program, since skills enhancement, as we will have the chance to see afterwards, have a specific role inside the IPA ADRION one. But what we funded so far, as Mattia already said, we have funded 5 projects. These projects are going to be closed at the end of this year. What will be the result of this project is to prepare accredited or to be accredited transnational master program, as well as to implement educational training concepts that are a preparatory phase for the implementing this master degree. So we introduced a novelty in the area, so a master degree, a transnational master degree, which is conceived in close collaboration with the universities of the area. So there were some minimum requirements in order to have the representation, the representation of at least 5 universities of the area in order to increase the cooperation, with some limits also minimum requirements for the representation of the IPA countries inside. And the work was to tailor this university path and the mobility one together with the business partners, the research institutions, in order to respond effectively to the demand of the market. This master degree is new, not only for the cooperation between EU and not EU countries, but also for the mobility scheme. So will be designed in a sort of a mobility scheme for the students from one side, that will have the chance to go in more than one university to perform their activities, but also for the professors and for the researchers that will have the chance to go through and to move in the area. The master will be designed taking into account not only the scientific and the technical basis, that for sure is the cornerstone of a master, but will have a specific, it will devote some modules on real solving problem of life. It will be devoted on hands-on experience, on study visits, so the practical part of the implementation of this theoretical background on practice, and the fact that it will foresee an internship of 6 months in which the student will have the opportunity not only to prepare a thesis, but also to start immediately to put in practice what the theoretical background he has acquired during the first part. The master will be focused on the main research areas, not only tackling the current, but having a look forward, so thinking on the future ones, so the ones that will affect the area from the industrial, technological, and societal challenges. So based on these premises, the support of this master has been considered of strategic relevance by the program, and the support of the implementation of these projects on the ground will be, so the projects that will be successful in reaching all these requirements will have the chance to get further funds for the implementation of this master degree on the ground. That's the reasons why in the new programming period we have introduced these topics as of strategic relevance. Let's go now to the new programming period, which we are actually in. So the new programming period, IPA ADRION in the new programming period will continue to follow the goals that were even in this programming period, but that will have a more focus on the enlargement process, on strengthening cohesion, so reducing disparities in the area, contributing to the EU policies and goals from the point of view of creating synergies with all the EU instruments, but also supporting the implementation of the sectoral strategies and policies at the European level, as innovation policies, S3, digital agenda, maritime and marine policies, and so on. Support the enlargement through trying to provide some impetus on the negotiation chapters as cohesion, inclusive for growth, a green agenda, through experienced beneficiaries and stakeholders, supporting the implementation of EUSAIR strategy, not only through the support to the governing board, but also through supporting their, increasing their capacity of governance, as well as supporting the projects that are, let's say, expression of the flagships that the strategy has already identified. And all these goals are not possible to be reached if skills will not be enhanced and will not be in line with the times we are actually facing. So let's see a little bit what are the main topics and the main areas on which the new program will be focused. As you can see, in respect of this programming period, skills enhancement has a specific focus. So we have a specific objective devoted to skills development. So the new program is structured with a new focus on innovation, so not innovation only on strengthening the capacities on innovation, but supporting also skills, with a strong focus on environment, where we have dedicated 54% of the budget in order to cope with the European Green Deal, to cope with the resilience to climate change, circular economy, preservation and protection of environment, multimodal urban mobility, and so on. And then the third part devoted to strengthening a carbon neutral smart mobility and supporting the governance of the Adriatic-Ionian region. Let's see now, and let's focus on the supporting of skills development. So what are the challenges that affect the area? So as we already, as you had the opportunity in the beginning to listen to Mattia, so skills are very essential and are fundamental for the economic growth and competitiveness. We said already that they represent a challenge. And the transition, so the goals that we have posed to the program and to the area, so the transition towards a green or blue and digital economy cannot happen without a modernization of the skills. So this is one of the challenges to which the specific objective that is called on. The same it is devoted to support the shift towards a more digital economy, so reducing the actual disparities and the digital divide, to reduce the disparities in the region, so the inequalities that exist between urban, rural, inland, coastal, but also skills can contribute to reduce even the gap between developed and less developed areas, to introduce new skills, new knowledge that are able to cope with the new patterns of development, with the new patterns of the industrial transition, to cope with the constantly changing of the value chains, the new way of doing business or new models, new economic models. And in these the skills, but not only, introducing a new way of doing things, a new way of consuming, a new way of doing businesses. And this can be possible only through knowledge, through skills, and through awareness and increase of that. So based on these premises, the program would like to, through the specific objective 1.2, that is totally devoting to skills development, would like to create a favorable environment for the skills enhancement of all the stakeholders in the area. So contribute to boost the so-called regional policy learning in order to deliver new services or better services for the skills development, and in this way reducing the territorial and economic gaps. And in this regard, 7 million euros have been devoted from the Interreg funds for that. And we are confident that transnational cooperation can support the exchange of practices and sharing of experience in order to allow the so-called skills modernization in the areas of relevance of the area, in the most relevant one on which the region, the EUSAIR, but also the Adriatic-Ionian area should spend and should invest, because they have their major competitiveness, so in the relevant sectors of the S3, as are some of them are already mentioned, but are not only that, so not only blue economy, but also clean technologies, industry 4.0, and so on. Support the skills enhancement, not only in the design of the smart specialization strategies, but also in their implementation, so introducing new skills for the transnational planning and management of these strategies, and for their monitoring, because it's important that these strategies are constantly monitored and adapted to the changing conditions of the area. The creation of knowledge hubs and platforms that support the countries to reduce their disparities, and we hope that in this regard, we will contribute somehow in reducing the brain drain that exists in the area. That's all from my side. I give the floor to Mattia again.
Thank you, dear Adela. Thank you very much. As you see, we've heard some nice example, or let's say, of a try to improve the education, to minimize the gap between the demands and requests, demand and supply of the educational force by IPA ADRION, implementing this kind of supporting, let's say, this kind of master's programs. So let me ask you, before introducing the next speaker, have you ever, I need to check the name, have you ever heard about the European Training Foundation? Or how many people didn't hear? So I guess everybody. Good, thank you. Yes, so our next speaker is Ms. Umuhan Bardak. She's a senior specialist on labor market and migration at the ETF located in Milan. She has been involved in different projects related to the labor market, migration, employment, and human capital development in the organization. Her work encompasses research and analysis, policy dialogue, project management and capacity building, as well as labor market reviews in the South Mediterranean and Eastern Partnership regions. So I guess, Ms. Bardak, you are with us. Let me just shortly present your organization. So the ETF is an agency of the European Union helping EU neighboring countries to reform their education and training systems as part of EU external relation policies. By supporting human capital development, the ETF contributes to social and economic development and long-term stability in neighboring countries. Ms. Bardak, did I mention the main description of your organization and yours?
Yes, yes, indeed. This was a perfect introduction. Thank you very much.
Please go on. Thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to add one small thing, which is the place where we are located. It is Turin in English, not in Milan, but the rest is perfect. And I thank you for your nice introduction.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me focus on the question. So what is the impact of the green transition on the labor market?
Okay, I have prepared a few slides for that, and I would like to use them if you allow me to share. Basically, the green transition, as we call it, requires a big restructuring of the economy, which means that we need to rethink and restructure everything that is happening in the economy and society, from the design and production phase of the goods and services and everything to the consumption phase. That's why I like to call green transition rather green restructuring of economies, because this is really the core part of the transition, and it doesn't happen by itself. It needs some policy push to accelerate this transition. So I would like to start with, can you see my slides, by the way?
Yes, we can. Can we ask technicians perhaps to please also put the slides in the middle? It might be better, yeah, perhaps.
Okay.
And please, yes, and please, if you can put them on the full screen. Yes, indeed.
I did now. Okay.
Might be some.
So, did you see the full screen now?
Not yet, but perhaps it's coming. So, can you?
It is a full screen in my computer.
Okay, it might take some time, so perhaps you can go on, and then we will come back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please go on, and we will. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Green structuring includes very diverse activities, from protecting and restoring ecosystems and biodiversity to reducing the consumption of energy and raw materials, minimizing the production of waste and pollution, which means that actually all economic sectors will be affected one way or another, more or less. As you see here, the graph on the European Green Deal, you can also see so many different economic sectors that are impacted and covered by the green transition, from industry, manufacturing to transport, agriculture, protection of nature, energy, etc. European Green Deal, you already know, I assume by heart, sets the policy objectives to green the EU's economy and society. It is a roadmap to make EU trading bloc both carbon neutral and sustainable by 2050 through a fair transition that benefits also all the citizens. What is really important here is the first ever European climate law, which was adopted in March 2020. This is relevant to all countries, not for EU member states and also for EU candidate countries, but also all countries in the world who does trade with the EU member states. Because the European Green Deal includes the goal for deforestation-free products to be sold on the EU labor market, economy and market. For that reason, also today, for most EU aid packages, they also include sustainability and green skills support. So what is the impact of green transition on labor market? There are many researches done on that, primarily by ILO, CEDEFOP, GRC, which is Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and ETF. And what they say as a common position is that actually there will be jobs lost, and these jobs which will be lost are mostly dirty jobs, so-called brown jobs, which you see at the top of the triangle here. But the destruction of these jobs are not large scale. It is relatively small scale, and typical example of these dirty jobs are, for example, mining sector or resource extraction sectors such as coal mining, chemicals, metals extraction, etc. Then there are
Ms. Bardak, just a short second. Can you check the slides are not moving? Are you moving the slides? I guess. Can you check once again? We cannot. Can you check once again on the pulling on the full screen mode?
Can you see now?
Yes.
Sorry, there. I don't know what is happening. Well, anyway, so now I can see that you can see.
Yes. Yes, now looks fine, but we can also use your presentation here if you prefer. So you can go on with talking, and we will solve this. Thank you very much.
The second part is the completely new, mostly linked to green tech jobs emergence. So there will be many new jobs which will be created, mainly in the green tech area. Typical example of such new jobs are, for example, jobs in the renewable energy sector linked to the wind and solar energy production, for example, but also many of the environmental goods and services, such as minimizing pollution, degradation, or natural resources depletion, repairing damage to air, water, waste, noise, biodiversity, and landscape, reducing, eliminating, or managing pollution, carrying out also other activities such as monitoring, control, and research and development linked to these topics. This is the medium part of the triangle, but all research agree that at the end of the day, almost all jobs will be impacted by the green transition. All sectors will be affected, but not that the jobs will be changing. The jobs will stay, but there will be new tasks in every and each job, which includes some green skills. And this is the big chunk of the main transition. So this is the biggest transition part, which would involve up to, let's say, 3/4 or even 4/5 of the total changes in the labor market, which means that actually there will be a lot of workers which needs to be upskilled to get these new skills in the changed tasks of the existing jobs. Typical examples are, for example, electricians or construction workers or agriculture workers, tourism workers, etc. But this doesn't exclude any sector. It includes all the sectors. One thing also we like to tell every time is that we don't call the skills as green skills. because when you use the word green skills, there are many disagreements on the exact definition. So we want to use skills for green transition, which might be also linked to other type of skills, such as digital skills, for example, which we saw that it is increasingly linked to green transition as well. For example, take the electricity sector or smart cities, which requires a lot of digital skills to manage smart grids, for example. When we look at green jobs, the growth of green jobs in the world, there are different studies. The first one I am showing you now is taken from the LinkedIn job vacancies. It is a bit, let's say, I would not take it as by word, because it's not representative, I would say, for the whole world market, but it still gives an important indication of what are the mostly created new jobs in the green sector. And the bigger the circle is, the bigger the importance of those jobs. What you see here in the graph is that, for example, these are mostly frontline green jobs, sustainability managers or sustainability experts. We see a lot of ecologists, environmental engineers, energy engineers or renewable energy engineers, but even more importantly, energy efficiency experts, engineers and technicians for solar and wind energy or other renewable energy fields, also including hydropower, for example, or construction workers for energy efficient buildings, green tech specialists, because there is a very big part of technology in the green sectors, and as well as recycling activities and waste management, including even sometimes dirty jobs, as we call it, for collecting papers, plastics, others from the waste, for example. In general, those working in the electricity, water, and waste management seem to be really affected hard. Other example comes here from CEDEFOP. This is a breakdown of employment in green activities taken from Denmark, Germany, and France. The dates are a bit old, but they are still in the lead in terms of developments. As you see here, the biggest part of employment in the current economies of these three countries are in the field of waste management, renewable resources, as well as water supply and environmental protection, as you see. Of course, there are also less affected areas, yet still affected, like biology, geology, meteorology, etc., or cross-cutting activities linked to the research and development in green jobs. But you can see here broadly what are the most important areas. Please still bear in mind that actually the structure of green employment is categorized still quite differently in different countries. Even, the definition of green employment in Denmark compared to Germany could still change a bit. Another example is from Spain.
Ms. Bartak, yes, very interesting. We would just, in 2 minutes, you have 2 minutes more, if you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just to stick with the time. Thank you.
Okay. Then I skip this. You can see these examples.
Just go on. Go on.
Yes. Let me enter to the skills issue. What are the skills really needed for green transition? Most of the time in the literature, we talk about 3 skills. The first one is, as you see in the graph, technical skills, which is very much specific to the performance of specific occupations or sectors. The second is transversal skills that are more about the knowledge, values, and as well as knowledge, values, and attitudes that help us to take pro-environmental decisions in our work and lives, which means that actually the transition impacts how we produce, but also how we consume, how we live and perceive our responsibilities as global citizens. And we need to change all aspects of this. We cannot remain only with the technical part, because actually, for example, the biggest consumer of energy in the world is households than anything else, which means that unless households are on board in terms of pro-environmental attitudes, the rest will fail in all cases. And a bit more detailed, let's say, information on the typology of skills for greening. As you see here, there are specific new green skills at the top of the triangle for new occupations. This is typically renewable energy or energy efficiency experts, etc. Then there is this topping up skills for greening existing occupations, like car mechanics, to learn about electric vehicles, or plumbers or electricians. Then there are generic skills in environmental contexts, like green investment banking or marketing specialists, or generic technological processes that help green transition, like agri-food professionals or precision agriculture, as we call it, the better irrigation techniques in the agricultural land, or digital skills. And then at the bottom, as you see, as the large part, is positive attitudes towards sustainability, which means a green mindset on the side of consumers as well, on the side of households, but also among the education specialists, teachers, medical staff, etc. And on the last bottom part, positive attitude towards sustainability, the EU has developed Green Comp. You can Google it and you find all the explanations how this green competence framework was developed by the European Commission. But it's an interesting attempt to understand what could be the European Sustainability Competence Framework, which is more than skills. Competence includes knowledge, skills, and attitudes.
Thank you, Ms. Badak, very much. Can you use like around half a minute to close, so that we are not too late? We will come back to you later on at the end. So can you, let's say, half a minute?
This is my last slide, which I moved now on some key, let's say, takeaways. First thing is green jobs are much larger than we think. It is not only renewable energy jobs, basically. It will affect every existing job as well, and they will include more greener tasks. Technology development and digitalization is very much linked to the green goods and services, which means that green transition goes hand in hand with digital transition. We cannot separate them. Then the third conclusion is that it's not about only technician skills, engineering skills, or other more occupation-specific skills, but we also need a lot of greening experts in business consulting, project management, sales of green products and services. So my conclusion is, my main message is that green skills will be needed by everyone, because environmental awareness is part of the modern citizenship and green values. And this requires both generic and technical skills, but also attitudes, positive attitudes and values for pro-environmental thinking. And last but not least, this green restructuring will not be possible without having a critical mass of green skills, because the skills will create more demand for green jobs and green tasks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Bardak. Thank you. Thank you very much. Indeed, we have heard that green skills are connected with each one of us. If not yet today, then will be tomorrow. So very useful. Thank you very much, Ms. Bardak. So now we go further to the two projects, Marble and Crescento. These are two winning projects of the ADRION 5th call for proposals in the year 2022. Marble is a project focused on maritime robotics in the blue economy with the scope of developing a master program in this sector. We have here Professor Nikola Mišković from University of Zagreb. Thank you very much for being today with us. And the lead partner of Marble project, as University of Zagreb. So Professor Mišković is a full professor at University of Zagreb and currently a coordinator of Horizon Europe project. He participated in 15 European projects, out of which he coordinated a lot of them, programs, also a program focusing on the development of first underwater robot for interaction with divers. Very interesting. So, considering the extremely innovative topic, Professor Mišković, would you tell us how will the project, Marble project, tackle the challenges of developing the intersectoral and technological skills required in maritime robotics? Please.
Thank you for the interesting question. I suggest I take on with the slide.
Yes. Please,
and also thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks to the organizers for inviting me here. This is really an impressive event and it's an honor to be here with you. So my name is Nikola, I'm with the University of Zagreb, but also the project that I will be talking about today is a joint venture. It includes many institutions, many universities, but also digital innovation hubs and business clusters from 5 countries: Italy, Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Greece, of course, that have all joined together to build a joint master on maritime robotics for the blue economy. Before I continue, I would just like to take a few minutes to explain to you what exactly maritime robotics and what exactly blue economy is. Maritime robotics includes all the robotic devices that operate somewhere around the sea, under the sea, on the sea surface, and even above the sea. These can be underwater vehicles that are tethered or connected to the surface stations. Those can be completely autonomous underwater vehicles or surface vehicles that have various tasks of exploring the underwater environment or protecting and inspecting the infrastructure in the maritime environment, all the way to aerial vehicles that are mostly used to inspect the infrastructure such as wind farms or other significant maritime infrastructure. In addition to maritime robotics, we also have something that's called blue economy. And the European Commission pays a lot of attention to the blue economy in a way that every year they issue a report on the blue economy, saying specifically how many jobs in Europe and what's the turnover in Europe related to blue economy. So in the blue economy report for the previous year, 2022, the main sectors that were identified were separated into something that we call established sectors, such as aquaculture, renewable energy sources, and others, together with some new sectors that are emerging sectors that will be interesting in the following period. All of these sectors are carefully considered in the Blue Economy report, showing that the blue economy is quite important for the European economy in general. But what we are trying to do with our joint master on maritime robotics is blue economy is not only to focus on what the European Commission has identified as priorities for the following year. We want to go a bit farther. We want to see what will be the key areas where we want to use the maritime robotics in 10 years. Because the people that we train now will be full professionals in 5 to 10 years. So together with our industry partners, we are trying to identify what are these areas where they want to invest and what are the businesses that they want to build on in the following period. And these cover quite a wide spectrum, from developing augmented reality and virtual reality technologies that extend the digital twins of the oceans, that allow us to observe cultural heritage at the seabed, or to observe unmanned ships as very complex systems that require digital twins. Our second application is related to the use of unmanned underwater vehicles for various purposes, either to interact with divers and help them during their highly sophisticated technological tasks, or to inspect fish cages in the area of aquaculture, not to mention having underwater vehicles operating cooperatively to map unknown environments, because bear in mind that more than 90% of the seabed of our planet has yet not been explored. And today we know much more about the surface of even Mars than we do about our own planet. Going a bit further away from the aquaculture as we see it in 2030, we would also like to focus on energy sources that are relevant for the maritime environment. Why? Because maritime robotics cannot function without energy, and we want to have filling stations for our robots the same way we do now for autonomous vehicles on the ground. Having said that, we also like to focus on the tourism sector. Indeed, coastal tourism is one of the biggest branches of the blue economy of Europe, and we want to bring new areas such as smart ports to an additional level to provide the tourist sector added value by using robotics. This is the vision that we, together with our industrial partners, have, and we would like to make come true in the following period, and our joint master is one of the opportunities that will allow us to do that. Having mentioned the development in the intersectoral environment, in the project that I'm coordinating, Joint Master Marble, we have identified the three main issues that allow us to tackle all the intersectoral challenges that appear. The first one is we wanted to form a network. Our network was supposed to, well, and still is supposed to have a large number of industrial stakeholders, because we do understand that having only the academia in the joint master is not something that will result in a useful master study and in useful professionals for the industry. That's why even before the project started, we formed a network of around 29 industrial companies from the industry, and we are now building on this network to explain to them what we are trying to do and to collect feedback from the industry to see what is exactly what they would like to have. Our second point is to involve students. Of course, I'm very, very proud to say that in the last week, we organized a training session for 125 students from 5 countries who gathered together in Trieste for a joint training week. 125 students, more than 20 lecturers participate for a week of interesting lectures related to maritime robotics and related to various blue economy topics. Not only that, but they managed to organize, our hosts managed to organize visits to companies that are usually close to the public, such as Fincantieri, Italian partners, people from Italy know definitely about that, Saipem, and large companies that are interested in having these students as their future staff and future workforce. What we managed to do during the previous week was not only bring together these students, but to make an initial network of students who will then know what the blue economy and what maritime robotics in blue economy is about, and they will find interest in pursuing these jobs in the future. Last but definitely not least, that we believe is key to having an intersectoral technological skills is the interdisciplinary curriculum. We are now almost 5 years in the project, and our goal is that by the end of September, we should have a finalized curriculum for our joint master study. We are well on the way, and currently what we have is a curriculum that is comprised of both topics related to maritime robotics and topics related to various blue economy subjects, such as oceanography, maritime spatial planning, various biology topics, that give our engineers, because the people that we train will basically be engineers, but we give them an insight into various blue economy topics so that they can contribute to that industry once they finish the joint master. Majority of courses are related to maritime robotics. Around 20% at this point in time is related to the blue economy, while we also have other courses that provide horizontal skills to our students, or better to say that will provide these horizontal skills. We already have the full pathway defined for our students, and while most joint masters opt to have 1 year at a specific university and then choose in the second year some other university, we decided that our students will switch universities at each semester in order to be completely familiarized with the Adriatic-Ionian region and see what are the challenges of specific ecosystems where they will spend their semesters. These main 3 things are what we believe are the key to having the intersectoral joint master program that we are developing. And I hope you will not mind if I finish my presentation with an image of these 125 students that are still in my brains, because this is something that happened less than a week ago, and I was impressed with the energy that these students brought and with what those students will carry with them from the training week. Thank you very much, and I stand at your disposal for any questions.
Thank you, Professor. Very nice example. We have heard about the also, let's say, inclusiveness of skills and youth, the topics that we heard so much about during these days at the forum. So let me please introduce now another speaker. On the other hand, the project Crescento. Crescento deals with the implementation of training modules covering the broad topic of circular economy. Today we have with us Professor Ferrarini from Polytechnic of Milan, lead partner of Crescento project. Please, Mr. Ferrarini. Professor Ferrarini has been working at Polytechnic of Milan since 1990, where he is currently full professor teaching various courses on industrial automation and modeling. He is co-author of 8 patents, and he co-authored more than 200 scientific contributions. Please, Mr. Ferrarini, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much, Matthias, for the kind introduction, and thank you very much for the organization of this meeting. So I will talk briefly about the Crescento project, which is devoted to circular economy. So I will briefly review what we intend for circular economy in order to highlight how we interpret the implementation of curricula and enhancement of skills in this field. So basically, circular economy is a new economic model of production and consumption, which is based on not simply reusing, but also repairing, refurbishing, and sharing materials, components, machinery, but also something which is untouchable, which is energy. Basically, the general idea is to extend the life cycle of products and also components and machines in the market. So the generic idea is to, let me say, recycle components and physical things, but also energy is a very, very important topic related to circular economy. There is an indirect effect of of energy in a circular economy, because if you recycle components or machine, like a production machine or a production plant, you are also reusing the energy that has been used to deliver these products and these plants. And also you are saving indirectly energy, which is related to the whole life cycle of the components you are using. But also there is a direct way to involve energy in a circular flow, because basically you may produce, accumulate, and distribute, and finally use energy in different points and different moments in times. This means that you will need to provide technologies and also business models to perform this. For sure, this is based on storage technologies, because you may be able to produce energy in one moment through some sources, renewable sources, but you may want to exploit it later. For example, there are many ideas, not only electrochemicals, but so, for example, just to mention, in Denmark they're using stones to store energy. So it means that there are far many ways to implement circular economy concepts in the energy sector also. So the generic benefits are being discussed a lot during these days, and they are available in many documents. So for sure, the protection of the planet is one of the most important topics. But basically, also a more political one is important, because circular economy growth implies also an autonomy of every single country, reducing their dependencies on raw materials and energy with respect to other countries. So this is important also for price volatility. And an indirect benefit of circular economy is, on the contrary, as a stimulus. It's a stimulus for economic growth, and in particular, it passes through a rethinking of new economic and business models, and as such, it is able to increase and stimulate the creativity and the economic boost. This is especially good for young and emerging countries, as we have also in the Adrion area. So the enabling elements for circular economy, so they are quite widespread by definition. So circular economy is a wide topic as opposed to the previous one that we have heard. So wide topics means necessarily wide number of enabling skills, enabling technologies through which we have to improve our skills. So for sure there is a new design concept for new components. So you design objects, but not only objects, final products like a bottle of water, but also production machine to be used in manufacturing industries in order to be prepared for reuse, recycle, refurbishing. But also digital transition, as we have seen many times, is for sure one of the most important enabling technology. So we cannot do without digital technologies in order to improve circular economy. We need to have the ability to exchange information between components and physical components and humans, which are inside the loop of using this technology. So basically, these topics, as I'm highlighting here, are related to different engineering curricula. So for sure, we have mechanical engineering to develop new components, but we have also chemical engineering and environmental engineering in order to understand which product have a less life cycle impact on the planet. We have management engineering and industrial research competencies in rethinking the business model. But for sure, as I already said, we need digital technologies. So all the ICT department, ICT curriculum, but also specifically electrical and electronics engineering are important. And of course, as we all know, so we are preparing skills, but if the market is not able to absorb the skills and the people that we prepare, we are doing a silly job. So we need to involve the interaction between research institutes to stimulate new ideas, but also with industries. And basically, this project is, as we heard before, is related to the 5th extraordinary call of Adrion of last year. So it started in January, ending in September this year, as many the other projects. The three main goals of this project is to promote the exchange of experiences within the Adrian region for increased sustainability, raise the competencies and the skills in the circular economy sector, and reinforce the strategic collaboration between all the stakeholders from academia to the market. So the partners of the project are 11. All of them in total refer to all 8 regions of the Adrian program. So Italy, Croatia, Serbia, Albania, Slovenia, Bosnia, Montenegro, and Greece. There are many departments involved in the universities, but what's more important is that all the engineering fields that I mentioned before are covered by Crescento project. So basically, the competencies within the project fall in the different curricula, from ICT to mechanical to business, and of course, industrial partner. As we have seen from Nicola before, so 3 are the main stones, pillar stones for this project. So the development of a transnational cooperation network, the development of summer schools, and the transnational joint master degree. So the cooperation network, all these topics are under discussion in these days. We are in the core part of the project, and we are focusing a target of 300 persons and 60 stakeholders to reach the network. Of course, this is based on previous contacts. And for summer schools, the project foresees the implementation of 8 summer schools in different countries of the project. Most of them will be concentrated in June, July, end of June, July, and also August, end of August. We have a nice international event on circular economy in Greece. So we will have a summer school embedded in this international conference. The general idea is to have at least 25 attendees in this conference, which amount to more than approximately 200 students to upskill. So the general idea is to have some compulsory modules for all the 8 schools, compulsory modules devoted to general concept of circular economy, and another set of elective modules that can be selected by different countries because they focus on different aspects of the circular economy. So going from manufacturing and industrial process, agricultural, textile and fashion, which is important in Italy for sure, energy sector, and so on. Especially importance, as we have seen also before, is the interaction with the students. So we have foreseen 2 workshops embedded within the lessons in order to drive and stimulate the discussions. So students have to produce some innovative ideas and projects. They will be followed by a suitable number of mentors, and finally they have to pitch their own solution. And for the last point, the Master of Science, Transnational Master of Science, we are landing on this proposal. So we are still debating, of course. It's still an open issue. The project is still ongoing. But basically, we are conceiving at the moment the project as a collection of suitable bilateral agreements based on a standard scheme, which is called 60-30-30, which basically refers to the student load. And so it is measured in the European Credit Transfer System unit of measurement. And basically, we have a first year with an entry university. Most likely, the program will be asymmetric, so the entry university will be one of the largest, the largest ones within the consortium. So for sure, Politecnico di Milano will be an entry university. We will have an intermediate summer school and a second year in an exit university. And there, the student may choose exactly where to go, choosing inside the pool of options that we will provide. Together with this, there will be an internship. So basically, the student may have the chance to visit 2 countries for lessons, and other 2 countries for summer school and internships. I think this is quite, let me say, enough for a student to let me say, have a taste of what transnational meaning is. And it is this proposal. It's grounded on some basis of other solutions that are available in our universities. That's all from my side.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just about to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor, very much. We heard a nice example of also cooperation with the private sector, let's say cooperation of different stakeholders, which is indeed something that also for the EUSAIR macro region we are striving at. So thank you very much, Professor, for your presentation and for the project going on. So we would go now to the second round of the questions. Professor Mišković, if we can start with you. Which type, or let me perhaps also ask the audience, please, if you have any questions, prepare yourself. We will have some time. We are quite punctual. So, Professor Mišković, which type of job profiles are you thinking to create through your master program?
I may have mentioned this also a bit during the presentation. But our entry profile into the program are engineers. So electrical engineering, computing, people who did their bachelor studies related somehow to these engineering areas. Probably even mechanical engineering, depending on the universities. So what we are hoping to produce after the 2 years master program are, again, roboticists, engineers, who have additional skills in various blue economy topics. So this is our goal. So we are keeping all the basic robotics and theoretical courses, extending them with a variety of blue economy topics.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much. I was informed by the organizers. We did start, we started 25 minutes later. So we are, according to our program, we are punctual, but according to the organizers, we are a little bit altogether late. Very shortly, we will just go to the short question. Professor Ferrarini, on which sectors of circular economy do you plan to focus in your master programs? Just shortly, and then thank you, Mr. Mithat. We will finish.
Okay. So yes, very shortly, for sure, we will include industrial automation, industrial production system. energy sector in all terms, so smart buildings, but also smart cities, but also energy production system for sure, and yeah, for sure waste management.
Great, great. Thank you very much. For a 1 minute, Mrs. Bardak, are you still with us?
Yes,
great.
I am.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Can you shortly, thank you, reflect on the green skills in the energy sector? Shortly, please, 1 minute, but important topics, so you don't want to miss this. Thank you very much. 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Actually, energy sector is very interesting in terms of employment trends, because overall in the world there are 65 million people employed in the sector, which is around 2% of total employment. So the share of employment is low. However, today there has been a big increase of the new jobs from 2019 to 2021. Around 1.3 million jobs were created, but most of these jobs were in the clean energy. So today, clean energy employment accounts for almost 50% of global energy labor force. What is really also interesting is that traditional energy workforce is generally male-dominated. Women are male-dominated and aging. Almost 85% of workforce in the energy sector are males. But in the renewable energy sector, there are more women working, and this is an opportunity. Also, employment in the renewable energy sector is more labor-intensive than fossil fuel industry. For example, since 2012 to 2022, there were almost 7 million jobs were created in the renewable energy, and most of them are, actually 1/3 of them are in solar energy related, followed by bioenergy and wind energy. What is also interesting is that if we look at European Patent Office, the key energy technologies that get patents are number 1 with almost 9,000 patents is wind energy. Number 2 is solar energy. Number 3 is transmission and distribution of energy, which is about energy efficiency and maintenance of energy sources. And number 4 is about hydro energy. What are the main occupations linked to the energy sector? In the high-skilled occupations, mainly engineers, jobs involving electrical, mechanical, construction technologies, both in traditional and renewable areas, but also technicians and operators supporting engineering activities that I mentioned before.
Yes. Thank you.
Energy efficiency experts, but also low-skilled occupations such as assemblers, workers, and laborers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ms. Bardak, very much. Sorry to that we are quite with the time limited. So let us ask you: is there another question from the audience? Perhaps we tackled very different topics. So do we still have, Mithat, one? We have time for one question more. Shortly, is there any question from the audience? Any volunteers? Skills. We heard a lot about the needs in the future, about the opportunities to fulfill these needs, also about the some of the examples how these needs can be fulfilled in the cooperation with involvement of different stakeholders. So, any other question from the audience? Not at the time. So, shall we then conclude this panel? Thank you very much for all the panelists. Very much. Thank you very much for the organizers also. Thank you, dear listeners, for coming. Also for the listeners online. We are sure that you gained a lot of information, what are the needs, what are the options. So we look forward for future cooperation in the EUSAIR macro-region strategy. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of 8th Forum of the EU Strategy for Adriatic-Ionian region, dear colleagues from DG Regio, we have successfully brought this forum and our presidency to a closure. Let me draw some conclusions we can bring home and carry on with the work done so far. The main topic for the entire Bosnia-Herzegovina's EUSAIR presidency and the Adriatic-Ionian Initiative chairmanship, as well as this forum, was the EU enlargement process. It is more than obvious that this issue is a joint topic for the entire Western Balkans region. It is a task for us, candidate countries, EU member states and the European Commission, and it should be a continuous effort which we hope will be pursued also by our successor, the Croatian presidency, as the presidency that will follow. As demonstrated by numerous sessions of our forum, the trend of the enlargement fatigue has to be reverted into a more enthusiastic EU approach. The acceleration of the EU enlargement process is of paramount importance. We started an important dialogue on this process at this forum, and it is our joint obligation and responsibility to keep this process at the center of this strategy. Another important topic of this year's Adriatic-Ionian Forum was how to fight brain drain. Several events organized by youth organizations, central event on sustainable rural development, central event on introduction of social pillar in the Adriatic-Ionian strategy, as well as other gatherings around innovation and circular economy, explored the possibilities for improving this situation. The brain drain has become one of the most pressing problems in the Western Balkans, where many youngsters harbor dreams of living and working abroad. We have given word to younger people during several sessions. We listened, and now it is the task of this strategy and future presidencies to deliver. Furthermore, the lack of skillful working force is a major obstacle for all countries, and this must be tackled properly. This strategy has made a significant step in addressing both the topic of youth and skills during the revision of the action plan under our presidency, and this forum with the commitment to introduce the new social pillar into the strategy. We think we have all contributed to the achievement of important milestones of our strategy during our chairmanship, and we wish our Croatian colleagues to successfully continue the work. In the name of the organizers, Director of European Integration of the Council of Ministers of Bosnia-Herzegovina and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Bosnia-Herzegovina, we thank you all for attending this forum and for your contribution during these sessions. Special thanks to the European Commission for their valuable support, as well as the EUSAIR facility point. Let us not forget all the panelists and organizers of individual sessions who helped us to shape this forum and brought all the relevant topics to the light. I'm sure you all noticed the endless efforts of my colleagues that worked with me last year. I have to mention their names: Senad, Lea, Tina, Adi. Medaris, yes. They got additional support at the end by the directorate, but this is the core team, let's say. And also, to add the colleagues from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we should not forget my friend now Miloš and Damra and Nebojša, and I don't know all their names, but the team is big. At the end was a big round of applause also for them and for all members of the staff of this hotel, the agency that helped us in this, and the partners who made this forum possible. Now, my duty is to also give a floor to, not duty, I kindly ask, pleasure, I kindly ask DG Regio to address you as well.
No, indeed, it's our pleasure to be with you. Now, we would like to congratulate the Boston Presidency for the successful organization of this forum. So, you were already applauded, but really you did well. It was not easy, I have to say. You cannot imagine the number of meetings we had to organize, you see, to prepare this. But it went well, so really well done. Obviously, special thanks to Mr. Edin Dilberovic, Mitad, his team, Miloš, his team as well. Also my team, so of DG Regio, because well, they did something. Natalie, who is with us in this room, my deputy head of unit, and Mr. Tokarski, who has to leave to catch his plane, but who was with us. So it was, I think, a very nice event, and I hope you enjoyed, especially last night. I think that was also a good surprise for many of us. So at least I heard very good things to say about both the cocktail and then, well, we bump, you see, on the dance floor, you see, for some of us. So that was very nice, and congratulations for that. So more seriously now about the priorities of the forum. So if you remember, we had, there are three priorities that we discussed extensively in this forum: youth participation, brain drain, social pillar, I would say, and the enlargement. They were already mentioned by Mitad in his speech. Obviously, and that was very clear in the agenda that was designed, youth involvement was probably given the highest attention. And I think we had very good sessions. I attended personally the session on the EUSAIR Youth Conference. That was a side event organized a bit ahead of the forum. I saw also the Adriatic-Ionian Youth Organization Forum. That was another one, but PROPRI was, I think, also something extremely successful. There was also some meeting with the Sarajevo University students. So it's to say really a lot of different formats, different ways to engage young people. We should continue, we think. It's obviously an effort that we should not stop, but we are convinced that we need to engage young people in a more meaningful way. And we think so because obviously, and that's the second point, there is a big challenge with the brain drain, clearly, a big risk for the region. There is also a high youth unemployment rate in the region, and that's obviously another important issue. And that's why the social pillar, the new social pillar, is so important and so relevant. So it will be the duty of the strategy to think about job opportunities for the young generations. That's in front of us, clearly. And again, with the idea that people stay here, that they they are pleased to stay in the region. And also to cooperate, obviously, with the member states surrounding the region, because that's the essence of our strategy. Regarding the social pillar, I would like also to mention and to thank also the work done by some stakeholders like the Adriatic-Ionian initiative, because they are quite active, and I think we should, and I think there's obviously an agreement to continue coordinating our work. The 3 fora, they are also doing a great work. INUREC and INUREC Plus, CDI, so there are different organizations, I mean, helping, and I think we should capitalize on the work that has been done so far. The Youth Council is obviously something important, and we are convinced that soon it will become a reality. And in that respect, obviously, we encourage the partner countries to come to a conclusion. So that's more and more official statement, but they have worked now for months, and obviously it's important that now we come to let's say, the conclusion, and actually this Youth Council becomes a reality, and we can move ahead. So that's for youth involvement. Then, as I say, obviously the next, that was the second priority of this forum. It's the brain drain, but then if we expand a bit this, it's also the social issues that the region is facing. In that respect, we thought that the panel that was organized on social pillar was very good. We heard different things, also the experience from the Danube strategy, also experience from Croatian and Italian colleagues. We mentioned, and youth is obviously a challenge, but the aging of the society also in the region is also obviously extremely concerning. And therefore, all those things will be probably well addressed through the new pillar. And therefore, obviously, we welcome the takeover by the Croats. So the Croatia is starting, you see, the new presidency in a few days, and we trust that they will do very well. But again, I want to insist, and I would like to thank the work done by the Bosnian presidency, because for 1 year, really, you help us to mature the reflection on social issues. So again, what we are aiming at constructing with you is an inclusive place. Okay, it's important that it is a secure, inclusive place where everybody can really develop himself or herself. That's really the essence of our work. And again, with the idea that the citizen is really at the middle of all our preoccupation. That's always, let's say, the ultimate purpose of all this work, is to, in a way, to reach the citizen and to improve his or her situation. So there will be also, and that's a bit aside, but that's nonetheless important cross-border issue related to the social pillar, because there are also the borders, you see, might create obstacles. So that's also something that the strategy might address. We will work also on that. We have very good track record thanks to our internal programs. And in that context, I want to say the Commission will support the work done, because again, the borders, you see, and that's the essence also of, let's say, the work of our 2 units in DG Regio, is to try to reduce those borders, which are otherwise obstacles, will prevent you, you see, to go abroad or to have your diploma recognized, or well, there are plenty of very concrete problems that you might face otherwise. So that then brings me to the last priority, the enlargement issue. The fact that there are 5 IPA countries in this strategy obviously makes this issue extremely topical. The fact that Bosnia was given the candidate country status recently, that's also important. Croatia, again, will certainly bring up the file. Certainly, we will help, no doubt about that. And again, to say that the purpose of this strategy is for you to work almost like member states on an equal footing, and in a context of cohesion policy, which is a policy different from the enlargement policy, because very often the IPA countries are essentially talking to DG NEAR, but here the idea is, thanks to this platform, you can already work with the other, we say, line DGs, so the other Directorate General of the Commission. And that's, I saw also today, that's interesting also that we bring other colleagues, you see, in the discussion, in the reflection. So again, I think the strategy can really bring something, and again, in terms of enlargement as well. So the Green Deal is obviously, as you can imagine, our goal remain extremely important for us. It's a reality. We see the rains in Italy. We see now, you see even here, we can wonder if the climate remains completely normal. So it's very urgent. We need to act. You see, it's not just a statement. And again, in that respect, the strategy can do something. And I saw again different presentations just before these closing remarks. They were very interesting. So I think in terms of circular economy, clearly we can do more and better. And we have a lot of very good ideas in the region, so we should really share them better. So I would tell you, you see, that's something I said, I think it was on Tuesday, when I was invited at the innovation camp. I mentioned a proverb which I think is African, and which is, I think, is summarizing a bit the strategy, but also the way we should address the three priorities, and which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And the strategy is really about that. The accession process is also about that. It's a long process, clearly, but if we do it together, it will be, for you, much more effective, and the strategy can help. In that respect, also, I would like to thank, really, the organization of the Innovation Camp. This idea, you see that we have more collaboration with the Euromed mission community is also a good idea, clearly. It's always good, you see, to share. And we will continue to capitalize on all those good things. So now, obviously, it's the turn of Croatia. I'm sure they will do very well, and that we will meet again next year in Croatia, to all the people here. And I wish now to wish you a nice and safe return, and I will pass the floor to Nathalie for the last word. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Gilles, for giving me the opportunity to say the very last words, I hope, and not keeping you too much. I'm new to Regio D1. I joined the unit in January, but I come from the Interreg family. I've been working in Interreg for 20 years. And I was actually involved in the Danube strategy all those years ago, Johan, 2010, 2011. So now I'm coming fresh, and I'm new to your strategy. And I just wanted to share with you a few impressions as a newcomer, as an outsider, and maybe, try to focus a little bit on the added value of the strategy and what we really need to be doing together. First of all, it's good to meet, and it's even better to cooperate. That's how really I want to summarize those 2 days. We have had a very difficult period with the COVID. We've been a bit separated from each other, but now the opportunity is there again to meet, and to meet in the flesh, which cannot be replaced ever by online meetings, except when we do technical stuff, and we sometimes have to share information online, but occasionally we do need to meet in the flesh. And I think you can see all the networking moments, the coffee breaks, the lunch breaks, the dance floor, all of that really also contributes to the strategy and working together, and a sense of belonging to the same area. The other side of that is that I did feel sometimes a little bit in the workshops that we were presenting, isolated cases, good practices, and it's nice to learn from each other. Maybe we need to think a little bit of doing more about the linkages that we try to create with the strategy, the connections, the interactions, and the networks. I think that's really quite important to put at the heart of our work. So maybe something to reflect upon, maybe we can discuss with our friends in Croatia. Enlargement. Indeed, I think Gilles made the point, it's an incredible opportunity to have such a framework where member states and candidate countries work together hand in hand, no status linked to belonging to the strategy. We're all part of this together. And it's really something that we should all cherish. We should cherish, you should cherish, because there are not very many fora where this can happen so freely and so extensively as it happens here. And I think this is really something very important. And I would say it's not just one-way traffic. It's not about candidate countries learning about how to be a member state. It's actually the other way around as well. It's member states, you know, trying to remember maybe what it was like not to be part of the EU for some of them, not for all of them. And to also realize that the chance, the opportunity we have to be in the Union. I was very struck this morning by, or was it yesterday or this morning, the transport was this morning, yes, by excellent cases on transport management funded by the Recovery and Resilience Package, for instance, which unfortunately is not available to our friends in the candidate countries. And it actually shows that being a member state is really something very important. And we really need to help and push and make sure that this process doesn't get bogged down and that we're all in the Union sooner rather than later. I think that would be very good. And I would like to conclude by young people. I mean, I thought there was a lot of good vibes around. It was one of the key topics of the forum and it worked. I heard a lot of very, very good things about the different events focused on young people. I think Popri was an amazing success with a lot of inspiring stories and things that we need to make sure that we take forward, that we don't let young people down. We need to be by their side and we need to be with them all the way. They are very often creative, they have a lot of energy, and it's our job and our duty to make sure that they can translate that into reality and certainly in opportunities to stay where they belong and don't feel the need to have to move away from the area. So I think this is also quite important. And I want to congratulate everybody who worked on the youth dimension. So now it's time to have a bit of lunch, try to go to the mountain later on. Hopefully not too wet. I hope the rain will come down. I want to thank Bosnia-Herzegovina for the presidency and for this event. You know, it's unimaginable the efforts that went into preparing this. And I want to also welcome Croatia and see you all in Croatia next year. Thank you very much.